Okay, folks, my name's Nicola. I'm getting ready to do my Workforce Education 105 video. It's lesson number 8. What we're going to do here is just try to talk about how to handle a 7 1/4 inch power saw safely. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hip jack rafter. So we're going to talk a little bit about the theory of it here, and then we're going to go out in the shop and actually cut the rafter. I just want to also make sure that I make a note. My email address is d1missile@aol.com, and my home address 625 Corbin Street, West Mifflin, Pennsylvania 15122. So at the end of this lesson, we should be able to cut a hip jack rafter safely and accurately to within 1/16 of an inch. That's our goal. So we'll be doing some bevel cuts on this hip rafter, some compound miters, and we'll also be doing some square cuts to create our bird's mouth. So just to review a little bit of what we've done during the week before we go out in the shop, we're talking about cutting this particular hip jack rafter right here. We have a little bit of an illustration or a drawing about how a hip rafter or a hip roof is put together. We got the ridge here. We take 3 common rafters to make this one particular corner of this hip roof. The hip runs down on a 45-degree angle, and then our hip jack rafter is tied into the hip rafter and then down onto the wall plate. Okay, so it's a little illustration, a little picture of it. We also have a little model that we work with. And what you want to remember, guys, when we're dealing with, we do our common rafters, we worked on those this week. They're straight rafters, everything's a 90-degree cut. Once we do the hip rafter, we get into bevel cuts and 45-degree angle cuts. We worked on that a little bit this week. But this hip jack rafter, this guy right here, what you want to think about is it's no more than a common rafter on the bottom. You see how it looks the same as these commons out in the center of the roof? And then the top of it just has a different cut when it ties into the hip rafter. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is the bird's mouth, which is the bottom part of the rafter that sits on the wall plate, is going to be cut the same as our common rafters. So the bottom theory on this rafter is all the same as a common. Okay? So the one we're going to put in out here in the shop, we're going to work on laying out and putting in the shop and practice our cutting, is this one here. It's going to have a 30-inch layout off the corner. And if you remember, guys, when we talked about our hip rafters and our roofs during the week, all of our roofs, as long as we know what the run is of a particular rafter, and we know what the pitch is of that roof, which our roof is a 9/12 pitch, so that means for every 12 inches over, it goes up 9 inches, okay? So the theory that we're going to have using our Master Pro calculator, you guys got them in front of you there, we're going to have a 30-inch run. When we plug in a 9-inch pitch, and then that's giving the calculator 2 pieces of information. We give it a 30-inch run. We told it our roof's a 9-inch pitch. If we hit the diagonal button, so we're asking it a question, and it comes back and tells us we have 37.5 inch as our theoretical line length. Then we're going to take off half the thickness of the hip rafter, which is 1 1/16 inches, because when we butt into the hip, it's coming in on a 45-degree angle, which is 1 1/16 inches. That's going to give us our AL, which is our actual line length, our measurement on our rafter, 37 or 36 7/16. That's our AL. Then we got to add our overhang on, because we have a 5 1/4 inch overhang, which equals 6 9/16 on the overhang that we're going to apply to the rafter. It's going to give us a total rafter length 43 and even. That's our total rafter length. Okay? Any questions?
Yeah. So Nick, just to be clear, when I calculate the ALL and the TRL, are my measurements from the center line?
Yes, all of our measurements on our rafters are going to be down the center line, because the theoretical center line of all of our math is out here in the middle of this hip rafter, so our measurements are all going to carry down our center line of our hip.